Humans have always feared the unknown, but as technology advances, this fear tends to diminish. However, when faced with the vast, uncharted depths of the ocean, our primal fears resurface with overwhelming intensity. And for good reason, many of the bizarre discoveries from the deep sea defy explanation. From alien-like creatures to eerie, ancient predators, here are 20 of the strangest things ever found in the abyss. Number 20. Deep-sea creatures that rapidly melt when brought to the surface. In the depths of the Atacama Trench, scientists recently discovered 3 new species of deep-sea snailfish that have a strange and eerie trait. They melt if brought to the surface. However, it's probably not in the way you're thinking. These fish live at depths of over 4 miles, where the pressure is so extreme that their bodies have evolved to be incredibly soft and gelatinous. After all, usual bones would simply be crushed at these depths, and so a soft body allows them to thrive in the abyss. But it also makes them unable to survive outside of their deep, high-pressure environment. The hardest parts of their bodies are their teeth and inner ear bones, with the rest of their body resembling a squishy mass that can't maintain its structure when brought to normal sea-level pressure. As soon as they're removed from their deep-sea home, their fragile bodies rapidly disintegrate. Despite this, researchers managed to capture and study one specimen using specialized traps during an expedition to explore the Atacama Trench. You're probably thinking about how undersea pressure works. The pressure underwater increases about 1 atmosphere for every 33 feet. This means that at a depth of about 16,400 feet, the pressure will be 500 atmospheres, or 500 times greater than the pressure at sea level. For reference, the NCBI proposes, based on data they've collected, that the human body has a theoretical limit of only 100 atmospheres of pressure. Just as we can't survive in the deep sea, these sea creatures won't survive in an environment with the pressure of sea level. Number 19. A mysterious 2,600-year-old alloy that could be proof of Atlantis. Atlantis is a name familiar to many. First described by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, many have tried searching for this island but failed. According to Plato, Atlantis was a powerful and advanced civilization that existed about 9,000 years before his own time and was situated beyond what he claimed was the Pillars of Hercules. Today, this place is known as the Strait of Gibraltar. According to his accounts, Atlantis was a utopian society with an abundance of natural resources, remarkable technology, and highly skilled people. However, in a single day and night, this mighty civilization was swallowed by the sea, sinking into the ocean depths and disappearing forever. Yet, despite countless explorations over the years, we found not a single confirmed trace of this elusive island. In 2015, however, marine archaeologists claimed they found 39 ingots of orichalcum off the coast of Jela. Now, what exactly is orichalcum? This metal was first mentioned by Plato in his descriptions of Atlantis, where it was said to adorn the walls and temples of the legendary city, second only to gold in value. This claim got the attention of treasure hunters all around the globe. The precious metal was allegedly found in a shipwreck over 10 feet beneath the water surface. Along with the metal were other artifacts, such as Corinthian helmets. Orichalcum has been a subject of mystery and debate for centuries, with scholars unsure of its exact composition. The ingots recovered near Jela were analyzed and found to be made primarily of copper and zinc, with traces of iron, lead, and nickel. This alloy is similar to modern brass, though in ancient times it would have been considered a precious and valuable material, likely used for ornamental and religious objects. The ship likely came from Greece or Asia Minor and was headed for the workshops of Jela when it sank, possibly during a storm. Although no other material was found on board that could confirm its link to Atlantis, this discovery alone single-handedly reawakened the public's interest in the mythical island. Number 18. Incredibly preserved mammoth tusk. Recently, scientists discovered something they didn't expect to find 10,000 feet below the ocean surface. Deep beneath the waves of the Pacific Ocean, a 100,000-year-old Colombian mammoth tusk was found. Normally, mammoth tusks are found frozen in permafrost, but this underwater discovery has stunned researchers. Unlike other specimens preserved by the permafrost, this tusk was preserved by the unforgiving temperature of the ocean water. The tusk, which measures over 3 feet in length, was first spotted during a 2019 expedition by the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute. Initially, scientists were able to collect only a small fragment, but in 2021, they returned with specialized equipment to retrieve the entire specimen, encased in a layer of iron manganese. The tusk provides an exceptional opportunity to study not only the mammoth's life but also the ancient environment it lived in. Through advanced techniques like CT scans and DNA sequencing, researchers hope to uncover more details about this mammoth's age, species, and the climate conditions of its time. This find could help piece together parts of the mammoth's migration patterns and help us get a glimpse of the Ice Age. If it weren't for discoveries like this one, we wouldn't have known much about mammoths. There are a lot of misconceptions about this creature. For one, many believe that these elephant-like animals were gigantic. In reality, not all of them were giants. The Wrangel Island mammoths lived until about 4,000 years ago and were a dwarf species. These mammoths stood just about 6 feet tall at the shoulder, smaller than an Asian elephant today. They were also likely lighter in color, possibly blonde or ginger. Their tusks also spiraled up to 15 feet long and constantly grew as they aged. Now, here's a fun fact I bet you didn't know. You know how tree rings reveal their age? Mammoth tusks have growth rings that work similarly. By examining these growth rings, we can learn the mammoth's age, health, and even environmental conditions. Finally, many people assume mammoths went extinct at the end of the Ice Age, but isolated populations survived much longer. The small population on Wrangel Island persisted until around 1650 BCE, meaning they were still alive while humans were building the pyramids of Giza. Trust me, if you know just what events, people, and creatures coexisted, your perception of history would forever change. Number 17. There are more planes in the sea than submarines in the sky. Amelia Earhart is an irreplaceable figure in aviation history. Born on July 24, 1897, in Atchison, Kansas, Amelia had a passion for flying at an early age. In 1920, she took her first plane ride, and from that moment on, she was determined to become a pilot. An extremely accomplished flyer, in 1928, she became the first woman to fly across the Atlantic as a passenger, earning her instant fame. But it was in 1932 that she truly cemented her place in aviation when she became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. She flew from Newfoundland, Canada, to Ireland in a plane named the Friendship, battling extreme weather and mechanical issues along the way. Earhart received the Distinguished Flying Cross for this achievement, making her the first woman to be honored with this prestigious award. Earhart advocated for women's rights, particularly in aviation, using her fame to promote the idea that women could excel in any field they chose. She was a founding member of the 99s, an organization for female pilots that still exists today. Throughout her career, she broke several records, including being the first person to fly solo from Hawaii to California. In 1937, Earhart attempted her most ambitious feat. Unfortunately, this attempt would be her last. Flying a Lockheed Electra 10E, Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan embarked on a journey spanning 29,000 miles. By June 1937, they had completed about 22,000 miles, but on the 2nd of July, Earhart's plane disappeared during the longest and most dangerous leg of the flight from La, New Guinea, to Howland Island. Despite an extensive search, no trace of Earhart, Noonan, or the plane was found. There were countless theories about the aftermath of Earhart's disappearance. Some believe that she crashed into the Pacific Ocean and sank, while others speculate she may have landed on an uninhabited island and survived for a time. However, the theories don't end there. There are also some who believe that she could have been a spy who escaped under the guise of an exploration. Unfortunately, despite years of search and investigation, these theories remain unfounded. And so, when Tony Romeo, former Air Force intelligence officer and current CEO of Deep Sea Vision, claimed that he discovered the wreckage of Amelia Earhart's plane, many were intrigued. After a year-long $1 million expedition, Romeo's team captured sonar images of what they think is Earhart's Lockheed 10E Electra, sitting roughly 100 miles from Howland Island, the area where Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan were last heard from in 1937 during their attempt to circumnavigate the globe. Although unconfirmed, this claim was already considered groundbreaking. According to Romeo, his team scanned over 5,000 square miles of ocean using advanced sonar technology. They picked up a sonar return showing a structure that matched the dimensions and unique features of Earhart's aircraft, including the distinctive twin vertical stabilizers on the tail. The blurry images have yet to be fully confirmed, but Romeo and his team are determined to return with remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, equipped with cameras to gather more concrete evidence. Deep Sea Vision's find, if verified, could finally solve one of the greatest aviation mysteries of all time. However, this isn't the end of Deep Sea Vision's goal. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 was a plane that disappeared on the 8th of March 2014. The Boeing 777, carrying 239 passengers and crew, was en route from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing when, less than an hour after takeoff, the aircraft veered off course, and its communication systems were mysteriously disabled. Despite extensive international search efforts, the plane vanished, and its last known position was somewhere over the southern Indian Ocean, far off its intended flight path. Fragments of the plane, such as a wing flapron, were eventually found washed ashore on the coast of Reunion Island and other locations along the western Indian Ocean. However, the main wreckage has never been located. According to Deep Sea Vision, this would be the next aircraft they would try to locate. Although they're yet to progress in this mission, many are hopeful. After all, Finding the wreck would allow a semblance of peace and closure for the loved ones of all 239 people who perished on the plane. Number 16. A deep-sea snail with an iron shell. Deep in the depths of the Indian Ocean lives one of the most metal creatures on Earth, literally. Also known as the sea pangolin, the scaly-foot snail has a shell and body armor made from actual iron. But their armor isn't the only thing that's metal about them. These guys live near hydrothermal vents, where temperatures can soar to over 350 degrees Celsius, 662 degrees Fahrenheit, temperatures most creatures wouldn't be able to endure. The snail's shell is truly unique, composed of 3 layers, a tough outer layer made of iron sulfides, an organic middle layer, and a calcified inner layer. This incredible combination makes the snail's shell not only resistant to predators like crabs, but also magnetic. But that's not all. The snail's soft, squishy foot is also protected by overlapping metallic plates. Deep underwater, this snail doesn't need to hunt, but instead just stays put, relying on symbiotic bacteria within its body to convert chemicals from the vent waters into energy, making it a self-sustaining marvel of evolution. Unfortunately, despite being a perfect example of evolution, the scaly-foot snail faces a serious threat due to deep-sea mining. The hydrothermal vent fields where the snail lives are rich in minerals, making them a prime target for mining companies. As a result, this incredible species has been listed as endangered, the first ever to be placed on the list due to potential mining operations. Now it's time for today's topic. A team of oceanographers mapping an uncharted region of the Pacific Ocean found themselves in a nightmare scenario when an enormous, bloodthirsty shark launched itself out of the water, just inches from their ship. The crew, initially focused on their deep-sea sonar scans, had no idea they were being watched. Out of nowhere, a monstrous shape emerged from the depths. The creature's massive jaws, lined with razor-sharp teeth, snapped shut just shy of the ship's railing, leaving everyone in shock. The shark's size was far beyond that of a great white, with deep scars running across its body, as if it had survived battles with something even bigger. Experts are baffled. What species was this? Some suggest it could be a newly discovered deep-sea predator, while others speculate it might be a descendant of an ancient lineage, something that shouldn't exist today. Strangely, it never appeared on the team's sonar before attacking, fueling theories that this creature is adapted to evade detection. With no confirmed identity, one thing is clear: whatever lurks in the deep is far more terrifying than we ever imagined. Number 15. Divers finding a shipwreck stumbles upon an egg sac instead. In 2015, divers off the coast of Norway, searching for a sunken World War II shipwreck, found a seemingly alien life form instead. A massive gelatinous orb floating eerily in the deep waters. The orb was as large as a human, and initially it was almost impossible to determine just what it was. Upon further observation, however, the divers realized it was an egg sac, particularly a squid egg sac with hundreds of thousands of baby squid. The egg sac, described in Norwegian as a squid gellball, belongs to the 10-armed squid, likely the southern shortfin squid. These sacs are delicate and float suspended in the water, gradually sinking deeper as the baby squid develops. Scientists are still studying these mysterious orbs, which have been sighted sporadically across European waters, but are notoriously difficult to sample due to their fragile nature. The discovery of this particular sac adds to the growing body of knowledge about squid reproductive behaviors and the strange, otherworldly environments that exist in the deep. Number 14. Researchers explore the green banana underwater. You're probably wondering what the green banana is. Well, I bet you won't expect what it is. The green banana is a 425-foot, deep blue hole discovered about 50 miles southwest of Sarasota. This banana-shaped hole, at least according to the one who named it, starts 155 feet below the ocean's surface and plunges deep into the seafloor. Blue holes like the green banana are ancient formations that originated on land thousands of years ago, when sea levels were much lower. Over time, these sinkholes flooded, creating isolated ecosystems teeming with marine life. Unfortunately for us, the sinkhole structure makes it challenging to explore, so we might not be able to study the ecosystem teeming within it until technology allows us to. Number 13. 500-year-old ancient half-blind shark. Did you know that there are creatures in the deep sea that can live for almost half a millennium? And I'm not talking about sea turtles. I'm talking about the Greenland shark, known for its ability to live up to 500 years. This half-blind shark is the longest living vertebrate on Earth. These sharks typically reside in the deep, cold waters of the Arctic and North Atlantic, where they move leisurely and progress through life at a turtle's pace, perhaps even slower. And so, when fishermen off the coast of Belize in the Caribbean saw one of these creatures in 2023, they were thoroughly astonished. But how do these creatures endure living for hundreds of years? The Greenland shark's low metabolism and cold water adaptation help it survive for centuries, scavenging food that sinks to the ocean floor, including the occasional polar bear carcass in Arctic waters. Their metabolism is also prolonged. While you'll burn your food in hours, the Greenland shark would digest its food and use its energy glacially. Despite their ancient nature and mysterious lifespans, Greenland sharks are rarely seen, making encounters like this one off the coast of Belize all the more remarkable. Number 12. Immortal jellyfish. In the 1980s, scientists discovered a small jellyfish in the Mediterranean Sea. Further research revealed that their numbers are actually spread out across the world. Not only that, but they're also immortal. With this, Turritopsis dohrnii became one of the most befuddling life forms we've found just yet. This tiny jellyfish, no bigger than a human fingernail, has one of the most remarkable survival tricks in the animal kingdom: the ability to reverse its aging process. This means that, under the right conditions, these creatures could technically be immortal. When this small and seemingly helpless creature faces injury, illness, or even the threat of starvation, it can essentially reboot its life cycle. Instead of continuing to age and eventually die, this jellyfish reverts to its juvenile polyp stage, regenerating its cells and starting its life cycle all over again. This process is known as transdifferentiation, where one type of cell transforms into another kind. This means that jellyfish can indefinitely cycle between adulthood and youth. Yes, this means they can irreversibly age, defying most of the laws we know about biology. But does this make them immortal? Somewhat. While they can survive starvation, illness, and injury, these jellyfish are tiny enough to be gobbled up by predators, which means they're not entirely unkillable. The most exciting part about this discovery is that we might one day unlock these secrets for ourselves. Number 11. Deep-sea hoofprints. For nearly a decade, strange hoofprints found deep in the waters off the coast of New Zealand baffled scientists. These strange marks were first discovered in 2013 at a depth of 1,476 feet. Needless to say, researchers were immediately intrigued. After all, just what kind of creature could possibly make these hoofprints? Aliens? Well, thanks to advanced imaging technology and years of research, the mystery has finally been solved. These hoofprint-like imprints were revealed to be the work of deep-sea rat-tail fish, also known as grenadiers. These creatures live in the deepest part of the ocean, where they feed on decaying material and other benthic organisms like krill, amphipods, and prawns. They use their triangular snouts to root around the sediment, leaving distinctive bite marks on the seafloor as they feed. The unique combination of their snouts and feeding behavior perfectly matched the strange seafloor impressions that had puzzled researchers for so long. Who would have thought these small, unassuming creatures would be the culprit? Sorry, UFO enthusiasts. Number 10. An alien-like creature. When researchers first found Advena magnifica, they initially thought they had stumbled upon an alien creature or an alien camera planted at the bottom of the ocean. Who wouldn't be stumped by a creature like this? Discovered during expeditions in 2016 and 2017 at depths of nearly 7,000 feet near the Mariana Trench and around Johnston Atoll, this sponge lives in a region dubbed the Forest of the Weir, due to the bizarre and otherworldly life forms that inhabit the area. Advena magnifica, in particular, is a creature that has a long, thin neck and two large eye-like holes that it uses to peer through the abyss. Researchers themselves were surprised upon seeing this creature, so much so that its name literally translates from Latin to magnificent alien. You see, Advena magnifica's appearance isn't the only thing that's strange about it. Its skeleton is made of silica, essentially making it a glass sponge with small spicules that help shape them the way they are. As bizarre as this creature looks, they're entirely harmless to humans. In fact, they're one of the most useful creatures in the abyss, as they're filter feeders, which means they help clean the water by filtering out tiny organisms and bacteria. Number 9. The loneliest whale in the world. In 1989, the U.S. Navy picked up an unusual sound while trying to track submarines in the ocean. Initially ignored as an anomaly, the Navy picked up the sound year after year until one day we finally pieced it together. This bizarre sound was made by an unusual whale deep in the Pacific Ocean. It's a whale that calls out for its kin, but no matter how many times it does, no one answers. That's because this whale's vocalizations are made at an unusual frequency. Unlike other whales that communicate at much lower frequencies, typically between 15 to 25 Hz, this whale emits its songs at a frequency of 52 Hz, making it nearly impossible for other whales to hear or understand it. And so, for years, this whale repeatedly made solitary calls, not knowing that no other whales could listen to it. We've never seen this happen before. Some scientists even began theorizing that the 52 Hz whale might be a hybrid between two species, possibly a mix between a blue and fin whale, which might explain its unusual frequency. Others, however, speculate that it could be a lone whale with a physical anomaly affecting its vocal cords. Countless documentaries have been made about this lonesome creature, and many are tracking its migration across the Pacific, hoping that someday we'll finally hear another whale responding to its calls. Well, this story is certainly enough to make a grown man tear up a little. Number 8. Deep-sea demon shark. In 2011, researchers discovered an unidentified shark egg off Australia's Kimberley coast. Over a decade later, this egg helped researchers identify the demon shark, one of the most monstrous creatures in the ocean. Known as the demon cat shark, this creature lives in shadowy depths that are more than 2,300 feet below the surface. Deep-sea sharks like this species are notoriously difficult to study due to the depths they inhabit, but discoveries like this help scientists learn more about them. Deep in the water, this creature's name is quite befitting, as it lies in the abyss with glowing eyes. Typically, these sharks have green or black eyes, and yet, for some bizarre reason, this particular species adapted to have glowing white eyes. Unfortunately, we know so little about them that we don't know why these creatures grew to have this adaptation. Number 7. An oyster the size of a newborn baby. This isn't an ordinary rock you're looking at. This monster oyster was discovered off the coast of Mersey Island in Essex, England. This massive mollusk, about the size of a newborn baby, measures an impressive 12 inches long and 5 inches wide, much larger than a market-sized oyster that's about 3 inches. Not only that, but it also weighs a staggering 5.5 pounds. Most harvested oysters only live about 6 years, but according to Tom Howard, the gentleman who stumbled upon this mollusk, this big fellow might be around 20 years old. Howard, who runs the family business Richard Howard's Oysters, expressed his amazement when he first saw the giant creature. He claimed that his family business has been operating since 1769, harvesting over 1 million oysters each year, but this is the first time they found one close to this size. Now, you might think this giant oyster would cost a hefty buck, but despite its size, it was only expected to fetch around $12. However, if sold through an auction, it just might fetch a higher price tag. Number 6. Dark oxygen on the ocean floor. Recently, researchers discovered a rather surprising thing in the ocean: dark oxygen. This mysterious phenomenon is called dark oxygen. While oxygen here on Earth is produced by plants through photosynthesis, dark oxygen, on the other hand, is made by a process occurring deep within the seafloor, over 13,000 feet below the ocean surface. Thousands of feet underwater is a mineral-rich area known as the Pacific Ocean's Clarion-Clipperton Zone. This area is filled with potato-sized metallic lumps composed of manganese, cobalt, and other metals that are somehow generating oxygen through a process similar to electrolysis, where water molecules are split into oxygen and hydrogen. This is something we've never considered to be happening deep underwater. Traditionally, we've thought that oxygen became abundant when early photosynthetic organisms evolved. However, the production of dark oxygen in such extreme environments suggests that oxygen could have been available in deep-sea pockets before life on Earth's surface evolved. This discovery might change how we understand how life came to be. There might be more in the ocean than what we thought. Number 5. Shrimp-like crustacean makes aluminum shield. In the deepest and most extreme environments of the ocean is yet another extraordinary creature that evolved just to withstand the competition in the abyss. Although seemingly harmless, this creature, scientifically known as Hirandelia gigas, is one of the most formidable beings in the deep sea. Living in the Mariana Trench, where crushing pressure and near-freezing temperatures make survival almost impossible, this amphipod builds its exoskeleton using calcium carbonate like many other marine creatures and aluminum sourced from the surrounding ocean floor. Basically speaking, somehow this creature has evolved to create a body armor made of aluminum. Researchers found that Hirandelia gigas likely ingests aluminum from the deep-sea sediments and converts it into a protective coating for its shell. This aluminum layer prevents the calcium carbonate in their exoskeleton from dissolving in the deep sea's harsh acidic environment. Now, what's astounding is that H. gigas is the very first creature we've seen to use aluminum to protect its body. This makes us think about what other astonishing features or traits deep-sea creatures have learned just to continue living in their inhospitable habitat. This strategy is one of the greatest we've seen used by an animal to outwit even the unforgiving depths of the Challenger Deep. Number 4. World's largest deep-sea coral reef habitat. On the southeastern United States coast, scientists discovered the world's largest deep-sea coral reef habitat hidden beneath 1,640 to 3,280 feet beneath the waters of the Blake Plateau. This coldwater coral reef spans a massive 6.4 million acres, an area larger than the state of Vermont, and stretches over 310 miles from Miami to Charleston. Unlike tropical coral reefs, these deep-sea corals thrive in cold, dark water where sunlight doesn't penetrate. They don't rely on the photosynthetic algae that give tropical corals their vibrant colors, which is why deep-sea corals appear white. Instead, they filter food particles drifting in the nutrient-rich currents of the Gulf Stream. The coral mounds have been partially known since the 1960s, but it wasn't until recent 3D mapping technology that we finally discovered the full extent of this underwater world. Number 3. Radioactive guts of a deep-sea creature. In 2019, scientists discovered something rather unsettling in deep-sea life. Scientists have found radioactive carbon from Cold War-era nuclear bomb tests inside the guts of deep-sea creatures like amphipods living 36,000 feet beneath the surface in the Mariana Trench. This bomb carbon is a byproduct of nuclear explosions conducted during the 1950s and 1960s. The explosions were so strong that they entered the atmosphere and eventually made their way into the ocean, where surface organisms absorbed it. As these organisms died and sank to the ocean floor, they became food for deep-sea scavengers, passing the radioactive isotopes down the food chain. The amphipods studied contained significantly higher levels of carbon-14 than their surrounding environment, making them dangerous. It seems that nuclear bombs weren't just part of humanity's darkest chapter, but also nature's nightmare. Hopefully, this would be the last time we'd inflict such damage to the ocean. Number 2. Barbie pigs. During a deep-sea expedition in the Clarion-Clipperton Zone, CCZ, of the Pacific Ocean, scientists uncovered a number of bizarre species, including the Barbie pig, scientifically known as Amperima sea cucumber. The Barbie pig is named for its bright pink color. However, I'd argue that it looks more like a tiny sausage than a cute animal. Who would have thought that such a creature would be living 13,000 feet beneath the ocean surface? Number 1. Never seen before predator. In the remote depths of the Pacific Ocean, scientists have discovered a never-before-seen species of gelatinous predator, likely within the Bathychorus genus. This elusive jellyfish was found swimming at depths of over 4,600 feet in the Pacific Remote Islands Marine National Monument, an area largely untouched by human exploration. Now, you're probably wondering how such a small creature could be considered a predator. While as harmless and soft as it might look, it preys exclusively on other gelatinous animals underwater, such as swimming cucumbers and other jellyfish, using its 3 long tentacles to catch its prey. Scientists believe that its rare red-brown pigmentation also helps it blend into its underwater environment, making it an effective predator in the deep blue. The story of the loneliest whale is truly heartbreaking. What do you think about it? Do you know of any other fascinating deep-sea discoveries? Feel free to share them in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out what's appearing on the screen right now. Take care, everyone.